Today's lesson is 9.2 Properties of Reflections. So we are going to be reflecting, just like you see a reflection in a mirror, across a line of reflection, which most of the time this year our line of reflection is going to either be the x-axis or the y-axis. When you get into high school, it could be something different. Okay, but we need to learn how to do this initially so that when you get into geometry in high school, you can do any line of reflection. Okay, so a reflection is a transformation that flips a figure across a line. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. And the line that it gets flipped over is called the line of reflection. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at this one. So this is on page 285. So you have your initial triangle. So this is your original figure because you do not have any primes. Right? So here is this one. So I traced it. And actually, like they ask you to, I traced it on tracing paper and I kind of cut it out. Then what you're doing is you're looking at this and they ask you here to fold your paper along the x-axis and trace the image. Okay, and then unfold your paper. And then what is the line of reflection? So it looks like we're going along the x-axis. So that's going to be our line of reflection is the x-axis. So this is basically, if you were to walk into a room with a mirror right now, this line of reflection is your mirror. This is you standing over here, this triangle over here. So C, point C here, is a certain amount of distance from the line of reflection. A is a certain amount of distance from the line of reflection, and so is B. So when you are reflecting it, just like when you look in the mirror and you wave and you're waving with your right hand, the person in the mirror is waving with their left hand. That person is also the same distance away from whatever you're standing in front of, like the sink in the bathroom, and they will be the same distance that you are. Okay, so looking at this, C is 2 spaces away from the x-axis. And when we flip it, we are literally flipping it, so it's going to go upside down. We are flipping it over, and it needs to be the same distance from the line of reflection, which in this case is the x-axis, as it was on the other side. So point C is 2 spaces away from the x-axis, so C prime will be 2 spaces away in the other quadrant from the x-axis, which is my line of reflection. So notice that point C is now on top where point A was on top, and point A is way down here now. And point B is over here by itself, but it's still 2 spaces away from the line of reflection. So that is what you do. So you're flipping it. So it basically goes upside down. If I were to also now take this one and reflect it across the y-axis, if you look, point C and C prime and A prime are 2 spaces away from the y-axis. So if they ask me to reflect it across the y-axis, that is my line of reflection. So I'm still going to do the same, and it's going to literally flip over, right, from where it just was, and it's going to be the same distance. So remember, it was 2 points away over here, or 2 points over here, and it's 2 from here. Okay, and if I were to now reflect this again over the x-axis again, I am literally taking this and flipping it. So it's right now, line segment CB is on the top, and when I flip it, and I was still 2 away, and I'm still, again, going to be 2 away and 2 away here. Right, now line segment CB is on the bottom of this triangle. And then if I were to flip it again, or reflect it across the y-axis again, it's going to go back to where I started. Okay, so this is reflecting. So you need to make sure that you understand how you're doing that. So it is flipping. Even if you need to take a piece of paper like I did, trace it, and move it. Okay, when you do that, make sure that you're drawing on your graph. So on the next page, or the next page is what page is this? 287. So you have examples, and again, they gave you those purple lines, and they're trying to show you where you're going. You're not making a 3-dimensional figure by making the triangle over here and making a triangular prism. So what they're asking you to do is, okay, here's the original figure. It is literally 1, 2, 3 spaces away from the line of reflection, which in this case is your x-axis. That means when you reflect it and you flip it over this direction, this x should be 3 away on the other side from the line of reflection. 1, 2, 3, and that's where you put your x, and you label it x prime because this is your first copy. If we were to now move this new triangle and they said now reflected across the y-axis, then those would be x double prime. So each copy that you make adds another tick mark, right? And so you have 1 prime here, this would be 2 prime. If you did it again, that would be 3 prime. And if you did it a 4th time, this point would be not only x, but also x to the 4th prime. Okay, so this is actually what it should look like without the purple lines when you go from your original to your reflected piece.